for over 15 years now. That's a long time. I've known him. Yeah, you're on your way. But for those of you who do know me, you know that when I meet people or anything, I don't like anybody, and I don't like anything. So Kevin was the same when I had first met Kevin. I met Kevin my freshman year of high school, and we did not click. The memory that I have most vivid in my mind is it was Ash Wednesday, and I had ashes on my head, and we're sitting during PE, which neither of us participated in. We're sitting in the back of the gym, and he's looking over at me with the ashes on my head. And you know, Kevin, raised a Protestant family, doesn't know anything what Ash Wednesday is. Fair enough. He looks over at me and he's like, the angel of death. And I just turn and look at him like, this idiot, I hate him. We hated each other. Because Kevin was smart and he knew how to respond to me, which made me more annoyed. It took about a year and a half to really have that grow on me. We were in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown together, where he was Charlie Brown and I was Schroeder. This is not going anywhere else. It's the musical theater in this room. But even then, Kevin and I were not that close. You know, Kevin was a son of Kevin. But we started to bond because we realized that we had more in common than I was usually honest about. And such things as our favorite movie being The Witches. Who the hell knew what The Witches were? You know? And Kevin knew. And Kevin didn't only know the movie, he knew the lines to the movie. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And then that just kind of trickled into a lot of the films that we had in common. And then that just turned into Kevin and I watching movies together. And then most of our conversations, to this day, are not actually us talking to each other. It's us using movie lines from movies to each other. That's our secret language. It is what it is. And in that fashion, who has more fun than us? We've continued. So, Kevin's been with me through many, many journeys. And as mentioned before, the villain is always very close to the hero. And Kevin is definitely a hero, and he did choose his best friend as a villain. So, I mean, I have to be honest, I'm definitely the villain. And he's been with me through many, many journeys. He's been with me through my high and low points, and very, very low points. But Kevin also knew that he couldn't introduce his friends or anybody to me unless I was not Anthony, because Anthony doesn't like anybody. Anthony judges everybody. So either when I was the queen vampire at Knott's Scary Farm, a bride or monastic character, some weird costume, it's not a good time to meet Anthony. So Kevin started bringing Christopher around as I was in costume, in a monastic costume. And you know, at that point I'm supposed to represent world religions and peace and Hinduism and everything beautiful. What the hell am I supposed to do? React negatively? And so Kevin knew, manipulate. He's over and I'm like, oh great, this is wonderful. And I didn't dislike Christopher. I thought, this sounds great, this sounds wonderful. But I had never had a real opportunity to communicate with him too much because I don't communicate with anybody. And then I started to realize as I talked to Kevin that Chris was like that too. And I'm starting to notice some similarities. And Kevin would tell me like, oh, this is what's happening in our relationship, blah, blah. He'd come and hang out with my former partner and I at our home and tell me, you know, what's happening in the relationship. And I go, Kevin, have you ever watched us together? We've been together for 8 years at the time. I said, have you seen how we interact? It sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? So that's life. You have to like go through this. The thing is sticking it out and going through it. And so anyway, what was most important is that they did stick through it. And Christopher and I had not been really close prior to the separation of my relationship that I thought would never end. I believed that my relationship with my partner was going to turn out as you guys are all here to celebrate their unity. And Chris and Kevin were really there for me during that really difficult time in my life, especially Chris, who had not communicated with me too much before, but I felt that he really cared about how I felt, and he showed wonderful friendship to me during that time, and I could never forget that, because without that, I probably wouldn't be here, and in many ways. So, I mean, that meant a lot to me, and it made me just even more supportive of how great they were together, and I just wanted to see them not make the same mistakes that I had made. And they're not, and they're going through it, and as much as I have always been a little bit more of a challenge for Kevin, because you think his family's conservative, yeah, they might be, but I'm a hypocrite, because here I was having a partner of 8 years, oh, everything's fine, but don't you ever tell me about your relationships, how dare you, you're spitting in the face of everything that's holy. And that's our relationship, but, I mean, I know, but seeing them go through this and seeing them stick together and actually work through this relationship is truly beautiful and truly blessed. And I do want you to raise your glass here, and in Anthony fashion, I will invoke some holiness and say, what God has brought together, let no man or woman ever come between and tear apart. Cheers. Cheers.